Life is hard for two reasons. It's hard because you're living in your comfort zone. It's also hard because you're trying to live outside of your comfort zone, right? And so, if we know that life is hard because you're living in your comfort zone, and it's hard when you're trying to live outside of your comfort zone and kind of stretch your opportunities, stretch your horizons, try new things, then maybe if life is all about being hard, we have to choose our hard. Do you want the hard of regret when you're older and you're on your deathbed and regretting the opportunities you didn't take, the risks you didn't take, the experiences you didn't have? Or do you want the hard of each time you took those risks and opportunities and had those experiences? Yeah, they were overwhelming. Yeah, they were hard. Yeah, it freaked you out, but it ended up making you a better human. If you take away suffering and leave discomfort, you realize that the only difference between discomfort and suffering, as my good friend Todd Telkemp says, is resistance. If you take away the resistance from suffering, you are left with discomfort. And the way Todd explained it to me a couple weeks ago was this. He said, look, man, resistance is what makes suffering suffering. And I said, well, tell me about the resistance. He goes, well, resistance will show up as fear. Resistance will show up as inner negative conversation. Resistance will show up as the last time I tried doing something physically hard, I failed at it or I got injured. And he goes, when I think about it, if we're trying to do something hard so that we can get the growth experience from it, he goes, suffering, creating growth is not a 1-to-1 relationship. He goes, it's almost like a 5 or 10-to-1 relationship. I said, explain to me more, Todd. Well, he went on to say that suffering is 10x to 1x of growth. And when I look at it that way, I realize, well, shoot, man, I don't necessarily want to suffer. I want growth. If I'm only going to get 1x of growth when I do something difficult, do I want to suffer or do I want to be in discomfort? Well, all suffering really is discomfort with amplified by resistance equals suffering. Because suffering does introduce a man, or discomfort does introduce a man or a woman to their highest self. I call it the other room. Like in your head, in everybody's head, like there's this other place that you can go to. You may have been there before. And this other room, this other place, you get to meet your other self. Napoleon Hill, in his book Outwitting the Devil, calls it the other self. And in fact, in The Power of Myth, Joseph Campbell calls it your higher self. Whether you call it your other self or your higher self, you have to access this room, this space in your head that I always picture like there's this black wall. You could see a faint cutout of where, I think this is a door, but there's no doorknob, there's no keyhole. You're pushing on it, you're trying to get your nails in that little crack to pull the door open or push it open, and you can't. But when you get to that place of discomfort where you just kind of click in, at the project we call it where the switch flips. Like during the project, at some point, sometime after number 26 or 27 hours, these guys who are going to stay, we know who the winners are going to be in terms of graduating the project, because they switched to flip. You could see it in their eyes that they've got this like fire in their eyes. All of a sudden the fear has gone away. The uncertainty has gone away. The doubt in self has gone away. They don't care what evolution Instructor Ray or Instructor Steve bring in terms of how punishing it's going to be for them, physically, mentally, emotionally. You could see that they are going to take on whatever the next evolution is. They're going to push through the discomfort. They're going to learn the lessons and experiences from that evolution and move on to the next one and the next one and the next one until hour 75 is over and Instructor Ray secures the class by ringing the bell. The truth of the matter is, and we've talked about this before on the show, how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you're willing to step out of your comfort zone, it is going to be scary and it's going to hurt, but you don't need to suffer. And you know that staying in your comfort zone is going to hurt because the hurt of regret, the hurt of missing out, the hurt of not experiencing what you should in life. So I will take the hurt of stepping out of my comfort zone, but I will remove resistance of fear, uncertainty, and doubt so that it's only discomfort and not suffering.